What's up guys? Today we're going to check out RSL's brand new subwoofer. This is the Speedwoofer 12S. So shout out to the guys at RSL for sending this over for us to review. Thank you guys. If you want some deeper specs into the actual driver and what went into designing this subwoofer, there is a live stream on the channel with RSL and they'll discuss all the little details about this brand new subwoofer. But what we're gonna do today is get this unboxed and check out what we get inside. So if you couldn't tell, that this is a very large box for a very large subwoofer. We have a review on their first 10-inch subwoofer on the Audioholics website as well. And I also have a review on my channel, Shane Lee, if you guys want to check out the review for that subwoofer and also the entire system. So inside the box, we get some documentation. We have the power cord, the remote control, batteries for the remote control. And here we got two different carpet sliders. We get one with a felt tip bottom and then one with a plastic bottom so you can slide it on your carpet. And this one you can put on your hardwood floors. All right, there we have it. This is the brand new 12S. This is obviously a lot bigger than the older 10S model. So let's take out the measuring tape, take a quick little measurement here, size-wise. So height-wise, we're looking at about 22 inches in height. It's about 18.5 inches wide. And then depth-wise, it's about 22.25 inches with the grill and about 21.5 without the grill. And if you are moving this by yourself, it is a really heavy subwoofer. It does weigh 86 pounds. So let's go ahead and grab this grill, remove it, and see what's behind it. The grill does attach with little push pin connectors on all four corners. So it is 12 inches. It does have a reinforced paper cone with carbon fiber. Nothing else up front except for this little display here. And then we also have the volume level as well, which you should be able to see shining through the grill. I believe it shines bright blue. And if you can see here, there's also a couple of presets here. There's reference, there's music, movie, and then boundary. So this does have a built-in DSP with 4 different presets, which we'll take a look at a little bit later. So around back, we've got a USB input. There is an IR in. There's a little push button here for selectable DSP modes. Volume knob. We get a high pass and a low pass filter that you can adjust between 30 Hertz to 250 Hertz. So these two guys there. There is a variable phase from 0 to 180 degrees. Auto on-off power switch. Then we have your unbalanced RCA ins and outs. And then this guy here is your dedicated LFE input. And then there's also speaker level inputs as well. Main power switch, and then your power inlet. The only thing that's kind of missing back here is XLR inputs and outputs. So I'm a little surprised they did not offer XLR ins and outs. And then the sub is powered by Class D amplifier that is rated at 500 watts RMS or up to 1,550 watts peak. Now as far as design-wise, this is a square box. It's got really sharp corners, really sharp edges. There's nothing really, you know, there's not a lot of flair to the design. You know, if you just want something really plain, it's just a plain box. The finish is really nice though. I do like the finish. This is vinyl wrapped with a matte black finish. There might be a little bit of sheen to it, but it should keep most of the reflections away if you are mounting this in if you're placing this in your home theater or in your living room. All right, so I've got 2 of these subwoofers in for review. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing set up in my theater. Since these don't have XLR inputs, I had to use RCA to XLR adapters. I put the sub into bypass mode so I could set the crossover in my processor, and I selected the reference preset since this uses less equalization. I've got the subs placed in the front and rear opposite corners of my room. They're both hooked up to a Trinov Altitude processor, and I will be using a Kaleidoscape for demos. Now, if you want to know how these perform for music, there's a full written review on the Audioholics website that goes over the 2-channel performance. We're only going to check out movies today, with the first demo being Christopher Nolan's Tenet. It's got a tremendous amount of bass from 30 Hertz on up.
Where's the package? Go check.
Because these subs are so large in size, I expected nothing less than what they delivered in this demo. They blew me away with how hard and how clean they can hold those long bass notes from the Hans Zimmer score. And if your subs are even a little bit boomy or bloaty, it'll absolutely drown out the dialogue in this movie. And we all know how hard it can be to hear dialogue in a Christopher Nolan film. It delivered on those huge musical peaks with no slop, while also providing a gigantic amount of body slamming bass whenever guns were fired or when something would blow up. They kind of reminded me of the RSL 1205s with how punchy they sounded, except the RSLs drop down so much lower, which gives them a thicker, weightier presence. And with the Hans Zimmer score, there's always this low humming rumble that you'll feel in your room. The RSLs captured that due to its large size, while the smaller RSL just can't produce it. On to my other favorite demo, Fury, starring Brad Pitt. There's a plethora of machine guns and tanks shooting at each other that should test how tactile your subs can be. So just like the Tenet demo, these pick up those low harmonics to make it feel like you've got tanks rumbling through your room. And at the same time, you can feel how blistering the artillery can be pummeling through your chest. Yes, these have such a brute force feel to them when the guns would go off, which feels like a heavy wallop to your body, which is really impressive. But in contrast to something a bit more expensive like the Perlisson 210s, which I know isn't an equal comparison, but it's always good to have a different reference, I felt that the RSLs, while it definitely packs a serious punch, it didn't have the same snap as the Perlisson, so for those successive gunshots, I felt the attack had more definition and separation between each shot, while the RSL was a little more blurred between the shots. Of course, there's a huge price difference between the two subs, but given the RSL's price, it holds its own pretty well. This sub bangs hard, it digs low, but can it handle Tom Cruise and Edge of Tomorrow in DTS? Okay, this is one of those subs where your friend comes over and you throw on this demo and you're like, whoa, let's turn this up a little bit more. All right, do it again, but turn it up just a little bit more again. Maybe just one more time, but a little bit louder. Now, I could feel it hitting the infrasonics in my room, or really trying to, but it sounds like the enclosure is giving up before the driver is, because I can make it make some uncomfortable noises. So while it feels like you can keep turning up the volume, at least with this demo or others like it, just know its limitations or you could possibly cause some damage. Now, it did sound really impressive for this demo, especially for this little 12-incher. It just won't tingle your spine like some larger subwoofers that I've heard. And to be fair, most subwoofers aren't hitting the infrasonic realm, but it's always fun to see if they can. Now, it did take a few measurements in my room at my main listening seat. Keep in mind that these are the responses I got from my room, so they'll likely be very different for yours. The first one is the sub in the front left corner. It looks great from 10 Hz to 50 Hz, then I get a big dip around 55. The second one is the sub in the back right rear corner, and then together they take care of the dip at 55 Hz. With room gain, I get extension down to 10 Hz, which is really impressive. And this is using the reference preset. If you decide to use the other presets, you can see how it affects those responses here. At the time of this video, the RSL 12S is selling for $799. I believe this officially makes it the best bang for buck subwoofer that you can get. It's right up there with some subwoofers costing twice as much, and even better than some 21-inchers out there. I know, that's a little weird to say. It is Audioholics large room certified. Price withstanding, this is one of the best subwoofers that I've heard. It does come up a little short for a couple of things that I mentioned earlier, and I would have liked some XLR inputs and maybe a user adjustable DSP. But for $800 it's not really a big deal. If you are in the market for a new subwoofer and you want to keep it within the affordable realm, I can't think of another subwoofer that's gonna beat the RSL. So what are your thoughts on RSL subwoofers? Have you heard them, and what do you think of their performance? Leave a comment down below and let us know. As always guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video if you found it useful, and if you want additional exclusive content, be sure to check out the Audioholics Patreon page. Subscribe if you haven't already, and remember, keep listening.